Less than 2 weeks ago, as everybody's aware, Bad Bunny teased his new song through his WhatsApp channel before releasing it towards the end of August. So I'm Rob Jonas, I'm with Illuminate. We're going to go through a lot of numbers, but let's dive in. So many of you are aware that we publish pretty detailed reports twice a year, our mid-year report and our annual report. We've been tracking the rise of Latin music for a very long time now. Many big trends we've seen in recent quarters, and I'm just going to pull up some notes here. One sec. So in our mid-year report, we were talking about, obviously, the continued growth of Latin this year. It's definitely primed for continued growth in the mainstream, as well as the very specific Latin market. Actually, we've seen in the mid-year report an increase of US listeners who are listening to Spanish music, even though they don't speak Spanish, myself included. We've also been looking very closely at a lot of the superfan data. Superfan is a very big topic right now within the industry. And we're going to talk a little bit later on today about superfans specifically in the Latin music genre. And superfans are really focused on a few things. One, obviously, is music, merchandise, and of course, live experiences as well. And then the other thing we look at very closely is we look at how Latin relates to the K-pop genre. So another international genre that's shown really strong growth in recent quarters. And we'll look at some of the parallels and the differences between the two different genres. So up on the slides now, you can see just a quick snapshot of 2023 through the end of August. What you can see, of course, is the Latin genre has generated close to 60 billion on-demand audio streams. And for you not familiar with on-demand audio, we'll talk about it a lot in the presentation. This is basically consumers and users who are choosing to listen to this music. It's not being programmed to them, it's not being played on a radio. They're going into a streaming service and saying, I want to listen to this music. This has actually made it the third fastest growing genre in the US, based on year growth. And it's the fourth genre based on pure volume alone, and these are numbers through the end of August. And if you look at the numbers on screen, you can also see the Latin music genre is growing at just under twice the rate that music consumption is growing at overall, which is really phenomenal growth. As you can see on here, Latin is the fifth largest genre based in the US, based on on-demand audio, and has 7% market share of audio streaming during 2023. Again, growing very quickly in the last 2 years specifically. One thing we do as well is we go out and we ask consumers. We don't just look at the streaming numbers. We don't just look at exactly what's being listened to and where. We also go out and speak to consumers and users and listeners of this incredible music to understand what's going on. And our Illuminate Insights consumer research, we've actually found that 40% of US music listeners report consuming music in a non-English language. This is a huge number and something we've seen growing very quickly. And Spanish is actually the second most listened to language by US listeners behind English, with around 26% reporting they're listening to this music. When we look at language analysis of consumption trends in the US, we can see how this plays out. We looked at the top 10,000 US on-demand audio tracks, and we can see a trend over the last few years where English language consumption has dropped just over 4%, so actually decreased over time. And Spanish language music or Latin music has mostly filled that gap, as it's picked up about 3.5% to now account for just under 8% of total streaming. Another way to think about this is actually 1 in 13 track streams in the US is a song in Spanish when looking at the top 10,000 songs. Remember as well, though, on the consumer research we showed on the previous slide, 26% of US music listeners listen to songs in Spanish, and this gap shows there's a lot more volume to be created, so there's a lot more growth to come. Thirdly, we're going to take a quick look at communication and discovery. So communication is really important. How this music's being discovered is a very important topic at the moment. And through the course of this presentation, we'll see several times how the growth in Latin music, specifically in the US, has got a really strong root in community and culture. And this has come out from our research. Understanding the tools people use to connect with each other is a critical piece understanding markets and consumers. Less than 2 weeks ago, as everybody's aware, Bad Bunny teased his new song through his WhatsApp channel before releasing it towards the end of August. Bad Bunny has over 13 million followers on his WhatsApp channel. It's the first tease of this song, and looking at Latin music fans using WhatsApp, this partnership makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. could be a sign of many great future marketing initiatives around WhatsApp and Latin artists. When looking at communication preferences, WhatsApp stands out as a key for both Hispanic and non-Hispanic Latin music fans. For Hispanic Latin listeners, 73% use WhatsApp, which is 265% more than the average US consumer. Just huge propensity to use these platforms around connection and discovery. And likewise, non-Hispanic Latin users are 55% more likely to use WhatsApp. WhatsApp, of course, is a global communication tool. This level of use illustrates the importance of connecting with friends and family, almost regardless of geographical divisions and borders. And this is a really new development. We haven't seen this happen before. So we're going to watch this one very, very closely. Streaming platforms, of course, are incredibly important for discovery as well. It's the #1 music discovery source for Latin music listeners in the US. Friends and relatives places at #2, with just under 1 in 2 Latin music listeners reporting they learn more about new music from those closest to them. Again, a very unique trend specific to this genre. Additionally, and interestingly, we've also found that movie and TV soundtracks provide a path for reaching non-Hispanic listeners, as nearly 1 in 2 non-Hispanic Latin music fans discover music this way. Discovery for this genre is very, very different to what we see in other categories. So let's talk about superfans. Superfans is a very big topic right now. Everybody's talking about superfans. What are they? How important they are? How important they are to the future of artists? How important they are to the future of the whole industry? And throughout this section, we're going to take a look at Latin music superfans in the US, what differentiates them from other music superfans, and where the opportunities are to create additional value. And as a reminder, this is completely new research we're bringing today. You'll be available to download this at the end, because I appreciate there's lots of numbers in here, and I'm also talking pretty quickly for Monday morning. So let's take a look at spending profiles for these superfans. US Latin superfans spend 120% more per month than the average music listener, and then even spend 30% more than other US music superfans. Very, very passionate fans, and the bulk of that monthly spend for this fan goes towards live events. Reports over half their monthly music spend on shows. Physical music and merchandise obviously make up a combined 23% of monthly spend, indicating these superfans are looking to connect with artists in additional ways beyond just streaming their music. Again, a trend we see across every genre, but the intensity we're seeing in the Latin space right now is really, really high. And in regards to physical music purchases, this is an opportunity to super serve these fans, as US Latin music superfans are 17% more likely to purchase physical music than other US superfans in other categories. So where is this monthly spend on live events going? Our research shows that Latin music superfans over-index for live music concerts and music festivals compared to other US superfans. Additionally, they're almost 20% more likely to attend free community events than other superfans, illustrating the importance of community we touched on earlier. And over 2/3 of these fans plan on going to a live concert in the next 12 months. I also want to talk about other places where we can optimize Latin superfan value. First of all, let's talk about merchandise. Again, very important topic right now for the industry, where our spending profile shows to account for 11% of monthly spend. And when looking at Latin superfans compared to other US superfans, not only they're more likely to have purchased merchandise in the past year, but Latin fans are even 24% more likely to say they wish artists provided more merchandise options so I can show my support for them and their work. Again, a lot of these fans want to do more than just stream the content. There's also several other areas where artists and their representatives can maximize superfan value. We've already discussed how Latin music fans are connected to community and culture, but these also show up in the likelihood to purchase music gift cards. Again, a very unique trend we see for these fan bases. These fans spend more on live streaming events and physical music, both of which offer additional areas to super serve this audience. And furthermore, live streaming engagement comes with no geographical boundaries, closing that gap on that 26% consumption we talked about earlier. Changing gear for our 5th trend, we'll talk about the rise of regional Mexican music. So as a data company, we saw this trend coming for a long time, and obviously it hit pretty hard in recent months, in a good way. The rise of regional Mexican listening in the US has been one of the biggest stories we've seen this year so far. As of today, Peso Pluma had nearly 1.3 billion primary artist US on-demand audio streams. And these streaming numbers place him and other artists in the US in the top 100 by on-demand audio streams at number 43 for Peso, which is a really amazing, amazing achievement. The Latin regional Mexican genre itself has grown 56% this year alone to more than 14 billion US on-demand streams, which is a huge, huge number. And taking a look on the chart on the left, you can see this growth has also been additive to the overall Latin genre, as all subgenres are gaining through this growth. We discussed earlier a little bit about how community and culture is a foundational element of Latin music fans. And that's evident here as well when we start to look at where regional Mexican fans are in the US. The listenership sees higher concentrations in the West Coast and through the Southwest in states like Texas. This aligns with US census trends illustrating Hispanic population patterns in the US. So no major surprises, but the data is definitely bearing out what we all expect. And while number one music discovery method of regional Mexican listeners is video or streaming services, Gen Z regional Mexican fans are more likely to discover through short-form video. So a lot of content, very quick. As I mentioned, there's a way to get access to this presentation once I've finished. But just a few takeaways to leave you before you enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the week. Number one, we look at this genre, one of the biggest surprises from our research is just the incredible role of culture. Hispanic community and culture play a massive role in the genre's growth and revealing new areas of music discovery going forward and more opportunities for amazing artists to emerge and to develop as compelling contributors to this genre. Secondly, superfans. Everybody's talking about superfans right now. It's one of the biggest topics of 2023. And there's considerable opportunities to further monetize fandom as Latin music superfans demonstrate levels of passion even higher than other US music superfans in key activities. And lastly, of course, the Latin genre growth. Growth of regional Mexican is additive to US Latin genre growth. More new fans coming to the genre, but really enhancing the incredible repertoire of artists and talent which are contributing today. Thanks for your time.